I recently watched a movie that was so insane that I decided to make a YouTube channel just so I could talk about it. What's up, Kimosabi? My name's Wooly and welcome to Wooly World. Let's get into it. So, I'm not entirely sure what was happening in Hollywood in the summer of 2012, but that summer produced some movies that were absolute dumpster fires, but were also very critical to my development as a human being. In one summer, we got movies such as Ted, The Campaign, The Dictator, and the movie we'll be talking about today, That's My Boy, starring Adam Sandler and Andy Samberg. Now, before I go any further, I just want to tell you guys a little bit about my personal history with this movie. So, like I said, it came out in the summer of 2012, and I had just graduated from the 8th grade. And over the course of a few months, I somehow convinced my dad to take me to see all of the movies I just mentioned. So, as I go over this movie, please keep in mind that the first time I saw this movie, I was 14 years old, sitting in a movie theater about a foot away from my father and sharing a bucket of popcorn with him. I'm gonna need these, and you'll see why. Alright, so our movie starts out in 1984 and we see a young Donnie Berger. He's just scored some Van Halen tickets and he's looking for someone to take with him. His little buddy suggests taking Jolene because...
I heard you got big nipples.
But Donnie isn't having it. He's got his eyes set on somebody else. This is where we meet Mary McGarrigle, Donnie's math teacher, as she's walking down the hallway. Donnie hits on her and she gives him detention. In detention, Mary catches Donnie with gum in his mouth and this happens. Then this happens.
Sweating like a jar of pickles in the hot sun. Oh my God.
And then this happens.
I'm a virgin.
That's right, folks. This movie is about an inappropriate teacher-student relationship. So buckle in, because we are just getting started. Then we get a little montage of them getting it on all over town, which leads us to the day of the class president elections. Or something. It doesn't matter. That's not the important part. The important part is that Donnie and Mary decide to get it on the stage, behind the curtain, on top of a piano that is making sound. So of course they get caught because, duh, Mary runs off because she just got caught committing a horrible crime in public. But then, everybody starts cheering for Donnie? Like everybody. One of the biggest issues with this movie is the way this whole thing is played up, like, dude, this kid is so lucky, when in reality, no, that kid is being traumatized. And I know somebody watching this is probably like, oh, dude, I totally would have done that if I was that kid. That doesn't mean it's okay. It's a fucked up situation, this kid's being traumatized, I don't care what you say, end of story. So we cut to a few months later, and they're in court, where the judge reiterates the same point that I just made.
I am aware that a lot of people think that this young man is not really a victim, but someone that's living the ultimate teenage boy's fantasy. This is a serious crime.
But Mary is pregnant, and she shows no remorse at all. How do I know that? Well, according to the judge, she said,
He makes me feel like there's a rainbow coming out of my...
So obviously Mary goes to jail, and Donnie becomes a celebrity. Like, I'm not kidding, guys. This kid becomes a celebrity. We're talking Most Eligible Bachelor of 1986, Rolling Stones magazine covers. Hell, he's even got a made-for-TV movie made about him. At one point, he had so much money, he bought a round for everybody in Boston Garden. That's like 14,000 to 15,000 people, depending on the sport that was being played that night. So now we catch up with Donnie in present day, 2012. Things aren't looking great for him. He's blown through all of his money, he owes $43K to the IRS, and his lawyer is former NFL coach and Amazing Race 11th placer Rex Ryan. He only has the long Memorial Day weekend to pay it off, or he's going to jail. Just a quick side note, I never learned Rex Ryan's character's name. He's just going to be referred to as Rex Ryan for the rest of this video. Rex Ryan asks about his son, and this is where we learn that Donnie named his son Han Solo.
Coolest name in the world, right?
And we also learn that they haven't spoken since Han moved out when he turned 18. Rex then gives Donnie a hot tip on a runner in the Boston Marathon. And I'll let our favorite former sports coach turned reality star turned actor explain this one.
This is Tubby Took. Fat guy. Gonna run the marathon, but this cat's got wheels on him. I think he's gonna win, I really do.
The odds of him winning are 8,000 to 1. But it'll give Donnie more than enough money if he somehow pulls it off.
All right, I'll put 20 on the fat fuck.
Moving on, we see Han Solo Berger and his wife-to-be Jamie. They have a wedding announcement in the paper, and this makes Todd a little bit nervous because he's worried about people finding him. Also, you know how some people have like a special stuffed animal or a security blanket? Yeah, Han Solo has security undies. Then we go back to find Donnie at the strip club, and because this is a strip club in an R-rated movie, I'm not sure how much this I'll actually be able to show, but the gist of the scene is that Donnie's talking to one of the strippers, Champale, and he's telling her all about his situation. Oh, and there's this guy named Kenny in the corner just being an absolute freak. We also meet Champale's daughter, Bree. She's a waitress at the club. Donnie sees the wedding announcement in the paper, but as he's reading it, he notices a few things. 1. Han Solo now has a fancy new finance job. 2. Han Solo is lying about his past. He's told everyone that his parents died in an explosion. 3. Han Solo doesn't go by Han Solo anymore. He changed his name to Todd Peterson. This last one really hurts Donnie because he says Han Solo Burger is the coolest fucking name of all time. And honestly though, is he wrong? So now we're back with Jamie and Todd Peterson. They're staying at Todd's uber-rich boss's summer house in Cape Cod before the wedding. We meet Steve, Todd's boss, and he's your stereotypical rich racist asshole. A little bit later, Chad shows up. He's Jamie's brother who's in the military, and he immediately threatens Todd. Back to Donnie, we see him trying to speak with Randall Morgan of The Randall Morgan Show. Think of this show somewhere between like a Dr. Phil and Jerry Springer type show. But he's getting stonewalled by the receptionist and he's not having any luck. Vanilla Ice shows up because he's going to be a guest on the show.
Vanilla, what's up, guy?
But things get tense because apparently him and Donnie have beef. Donnie and Vanilla Ice's mom bumped uglies back in the day and this caused some friction between the two. And this scene ends with Vanilla Ice body slamming Donnie through a coffee table. Eventually, though, Donnie does get in front of Randall Morgan, and he's offered $50,000 if he can get Todd to show up at Mary's prison to film a reunion special for the Randall Morgan Show. Donnie agrees, and he goes to find Todd. So, getting back to Todd at the Cod Lodge, we learn that he's really good at doing math in his head. Good for him. But then, all of a sudden, Donnie shows up. Todd freaks out and introduces Donnie as his best friend. But despite Donnie being Donnie,
You're stacked pretty good.
Jamie's family seems strangely charmed by him, and they insist that he stay at the Cod Lodge with them until the wedding. Finally, Todd and Donnie get a moment alone together. Donnie lies to Todd, telling him that Mary's sick and saying that's the reason that he showed up. Todd's not really buying it and then tears into Donnie for just being a bad father.
I gave you a snake!
Yeah, and then it died after it ate all your Quaaludes.
Immediately after this, they go to a day party, where we get my favorite 30-ish seconds of the movie. So please enjoy.
Is that back? Because I've been dying for that to come back.
What's up? My boy, look at him! He ain't a tight ass! What's up?
What's up?
No!
But Donnie is actually the life of the party, and everyone just seems to love this man. Todd's best man, Phil, even recognizes him.
Do you think you would ever bone your wife?
This leads to an oddly long scene where a bunch of people talk about the times they wanted to do the dirty deed with their teachers. A little bit later, Donnie out-brain maths Todd in front of everybody, which embarrasses Todd.
This guy forgot about leap year, I guess.
And then they go play baseball for some reason. Nothing really important happens here except for Todd taking a ball to the throat. That night, Donnie sees Todd and Jamie fighting. So naturally, he goes to bug Todd while he's in the bathroom. This turns into more of Todd getting frustrated with Donnie for being a bad father. But then, we get to see the absolutely amazing New Kids on the Block tattoo that Donnie let Todd get when he was in the 3rd grade.
New Kids on the Block! Holy shit! Their heads are all warped now! Oh my god!
So if you knew anything about this movie before today, I'd be willing to bet that this New Kids on the Block tattoo scene was one of the things you remembered. But what I bet you forgot, and I'd forgotten as well, is that Donnie has a matching tattoo of Tattoo from Fantasy Island, and I personally love that even more. So then Donnie starts messing with Todd, and he ends up on top of him when Chad walks in. Donnie then convinces Chad to start wrestling Todd, and while he's doing so, Chad makes some really weird comments about Todd and Jamie's intimate business.
I mean, you like what? Dirty booger fingers in her?
But the situation gets resolved when Donnie bonks Chad on the head with a beer bottle, knocking him out cold.
And that is the end of that.
Don't think I did that one right. The next morning, the whole family's at the church where the wedding's supposed to take place, and the subject of Todd's dead dad comes up. Todd claims that his dad deserved it, but this awakens a fury in the priest who insists that Todd steps outside with him. Once he does so, they proceed to get into a full-on brawl. The priest really seemed to take Todd's comments personally. I guess he just really likes his father. Get it? Because he's a priest?
No!
The priest is also speaking in tongues at one point, but this situation gets resolved when Donnie bonks him on the head with a beer bottle, knocking him out cold. Obviously, after that whole kerfuffle, they can't have the wedding at that church anymore, and everyone's blaming poor Todd except for Jamie's mom, who seems to be slightly swooning over Donnie for some reason, even though her husband's standing right there. But once again, charismatic Donnie swoops in to save the day. He suggests that they have the wedding on the beach by the Cod Lodge, and he makes up a sob story to get everybody to feel bad for Todd. That night is the bachelor party, and Phil plans a night at a men's spa he read about in Oprah's magazine. Apparently, the people who work at this spa are the only people not charmed by Donnie for some reason, because he's annoying every single one of them. And Donnie's pissed off at Phil for organizing such a lame bachelor party, so he decides to take control. They end up at Donnie's strip club, the gang gets to meet Champale, and of course things go off the rails. But Bree and Todd have a sweet moment where she tells him that his secret is safe with her, and they even dance together a little bit. After the strip club, everyone goes home except for Todd and Donnie. This is when Donnie gives Todd his old feathered earring, which he then sticks straight through Todd's unpierced ear. They end up at the skating rink where Vanilla Ice works. Donnie apologizes to Vanilla, and the three of them decide to hit the town together, but not before they piss Todd Bridges off on the way out.
What you talking about, Willis?
You come back and say it to my face, you fake white rapping motherfucker!
God, seriously though, you look great. How's Mr. Drummond doing?
Mr. Fuck you!
The three of them have a ball that night, messing with skaters, horsing around at a convenience store, and disrupting a bunch of bowlers. At the end of the night, Donnie's trying to teach Todd how to ride a bike, and we find out the reason that he keeps his security underwear. It turns out that when Todd was a kid, Donnie left him waiting at school for hours. Todd crapped himself and then had to walk home, with crap in his pants. But to his credit, Donnie promises to never forget about Todd again and convinces Todd to throw the underwear away. A little bit later, they have a heart-to-heart.
Probably would have fucked my teacher too.
And Todd agrees to go see Mary with Donnie the next day, because he's still under the impression that Mary is sick. He doesn't know about Donnie's side deal with Mr. Randall Morgan. But Donnie walks it back and says that he got a call that Mary's going to be okay and they don't have to go anymore. And this is actually kind of a sweet moment, because it shows that Donnie cares more about his relationship with Todd than he does about the money. So, what happens after this sweet moment? Donnie does the horizontal tango with a grandma, and Todd does the no-pants dance with Jamie's wedding dress, and then pukes on it. The next morning, obviously Jamie is furious and horrified about what has happened to her wedding dress, and after hearing her screams, both Donnie and Vanilla Ice burst into the room to see what's wrong.
What is Vanilla Ice doing in our room?
He's, my other best friend.
And a wicked good rapper. Give it up for him. Come on now.
Give it up.
My boy.
A little bit later, while the family's having breakfast, the maid makes a very good point about the Mary-Donnie relationship.
You were only 13. She took advantage of you.
Then, Donnie gets a call from Todd, who's out trying to take care of the dress situation. Todd also lets Donnie know that he's going to the prison to see Mary anyways. So then Donnie rushes to get down there too. At the prison, we see an older version of Mary, played by Susan fucking Sarandon. Like, what? But her and Todd have a sweet mother and son moment, and her and Donnie do whatever this is.
Good to see you too, baby.
Can you describe what you're feeling right now, huh?
TV's Randall Morgan? What are you doing here?
And of course this upsets Todd as he realizes it was a setup. Donnie tries to explain that he had a change of heart and didn't want to come anymore, but Todd freaks out and attacks him. This leads to Todd getting tased and crapping himself, which is unfortunate, but would have been less unfortunate if he still had his security undies. But somebody made him throw them out.
I'm sorry, I didn't know you were gonna shit yourself again.
Todd says,
I hate you, Dad.
and storms off. Donnie goes back to the Cod Lodge to get his stuff, and he overhears Jamie on the phone, but it sounds like she's having an affair. Not only that, but he believes she's having an affair with Todd's boss, Steve. Plot twist, right? That night is the wedding rehearsal, and it kicks off with Steve announcing that he's making Phil a partner at their firm.
I'm just busting your balls, Phil.
And I'm just busting your balls, because he picks Todd. All of a sudden, Donnie bursts in and accuses Jamie of cheating with Steve. But she surprises him by saying that it was a different Steve. This Steve is a wedding reporter, and she was keeping it a secret because she knows Todd doesn't like being in the paper. So without much else to do, Donnie leaves in shame. He's obviously sad about the situation, but Kenny, fucking Kenny, of all people, suggests that he go patch things up with Jamie. So he heads downtown because Jamie's staying in a swanky hotel for the night before her wedding. And here we get the second scene in the whole movie that made me chuckle. So once again, please enjoy.
Hi, I'm Todd Peterson.
No, you're not. You're Donnie Berger. You fucked your teacher in the 7th grade.
Hi, I'm Todd Peterson.
Hey, Mr. Peterson. What can I do for you?
What room was my fiance in again?
Let me check. 641.
You're a fucking stud.
Hey, when the legendary Donnie Berger comes in here using a fake name, you go with it!
I don't know, maybe I have a weird sense of humor. Donnie gets to her hotel room and he hears her sour in the kraut inside, and she's definitely not with Todd. So he Mission Impossibles his way around the outside of the building, but with that special Donnie flair, you know? When he finally makes it in, we get to see who she's cheating with. And before I show you who it is, I want you to make sure that you're sitting down. Who do you think it is? Steve? Phil? Vanilla Ice? Nope. Ladies and gentlemen, she's doing the bedroom rodeo with her brother. Jamie tries to defend them, but Chad's main concern is...
Secret tickle time? You got a name for it? Yeah!
Now, before someone tries to say, maybe they're step-siblings, or maybe one of them was adopted. Nope, Donnie asked, and it's confirmed they're 100% USDA certified, organically grown, grade A siblings. Then it comes out that Chad isn't even in the military. He's a modern jazz dancer who buys the uniforms on eBay to keep up appearances for their dad. And Jamie confirms she was sleeping with Steve. That's the only reason Todd was made partner in the first place. The whole wedding reporter thing was a lie. Donnie takes a picture of them for evidence and Chad flexes. Classic Chad. But then Jamie offers to pay Donnie $50,000 to keep his mouth shut because she says Todd is happy. So the day of the wedding, we see Donnie calling Super Bowl winner, CBS star, and fake lawyer extraordinaire Rex Ryan to tell him that he does in fact have the money, meaning that he took Jamie's offer. He explains the situation, to which Rex replies,
We've all been there.
Have we, Rex? Have we? After some more thinking and a conversation with an oven mitt, Donnie decides that Todd needs to know the truth. So he grabs Vanilla Ice and they speed off towards the wedding. In the meantime, Todd and the priest he fought have made up, so that's neat. But Donnie and Vanilla make it and object to the wedding just in time.
We're past that part already.
Close enough. Donnie gives a speech about what love is and calls Todd son. This forces Todd to have to tell everybody about Donnie and Mary's inappropriate relationship and how he was the baby that resulted from it. Chad and Jamie immediately chime in about how disgusting that is, which is objectively true, but people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. That's all I'm saying. Donnie then tells Todd that Jamie tried to pay him off, and then he makes Jamie tell Todd the truth. And Todd reacts, well, probably about as well as any of us would.
What? Ah! What?
You what? Your brother?
Everyone in attendance is visibly horrified, which I think makes perfect sense.
Fucking white people.
So Chad runs off crying, and Jamie's begging for Todd to still marry her. Obviously, he's like, hell no, and stands his ground, prompting him to declare that his name is in fact Han Solo Berger. Todd then quits his job, which Vanilla Ice tells him was probably a good idea because Jamie was also sleeping with Steve. And Todd responds to this news by telling Steve that both Donnie and Vanilla Ice were shaking the sheets with his mom so they can call it even. Now, I didn't really go into that plot point, but this lady...
Maybe he was high on the hashish.
...is Steve's mom, and yes, it's true.
Vanilla Ice banged Grandma? That's fucking awesome!
So Jamie rushes at Donnie with one of the cake knives. And how does Donnie respond? Say it with me. He bonks her on the head with a beer bottle, knocking her out cold. He then hands the bottle to Han Solo. But then, Chad rushes at Donnie, and Donnie's plumb out of beer bottles to bonk a bitch with, but thankfully, Han Solo returns the favor and bonks Chad. It doesn't take though, and Chad gets back up. But never fear, because the ass-kicking priest is here, baby, and he sends Chad back down to the ground with the fist of God. Once the dust settles, Donnie and Han Solo leave the wedding, and we get the final scene of the movie back at the strip club. It looks like Donnie's going to prison because he wasn't able to get the money, and he refuses to let Han Solo pay his debt for him. They're telling everyone the story, and it's revealed that Bree and Han might now be seeing each other. All of a sudden, lawyer Rex Ryan bursts in, moving faster than he ever did on The Amazing Race, telling Donnie to turn on the TV. You see, remember that marathon runner from the beginning of the movie? How'd you describe him, Rex?
Fat guy.
Fat guy.
That's right, that's right. But Tubby's actually making a surge. He could win this thing, and if he pulls it off, it would give Donnie more than enough money to stay out of jail. Tubby stumbles, but he gets back up. He chugs some chocolate milk, and he pushes past the other runners and crosses the finish line first. Hooray! Donnie doesn't have to go to jail. And that's it. Tubby wins. Donnie gets his money. That's literally how this movie ends. So, I'm kind of ashamed to admit that when I watched this as a 14-year-old, I really liked it. And watching it now at 24, like more than anything, I'm just kind of embarrassed that I had to watch this movie as many times as I did in order to make this video. Also, this movie came out like 10 years ago, which is insane to me. Like, there's no way you could make this movie today. I'm surprised they even let it fly 10 years ago, but hey man, Hollywood's crazy. I will say though, one thing I really enjoyed about this movie and had completely forgotten about is that Vanilla Ice is in so much more of this movie than I had remembered. And not that he's like an Oscar-winning actor, but he just makes it more fun. Don't get me wrong, I still wasn't really laughing, but he did get a couple like little nose exhales out of me, you know? Couple of those. But that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any ideas for future videos, just leave a comment down below. Also, it would really help your boy out if you could hit that like button. And if you want to make me sweat like a jar of pickles in the hot sun, why don't you hit subscribe for me? Peace.